Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of Area Real Estate. I'm Emily Neville, your Area 2 President.
I'm Jasmine Jones, your Area 2 Vice President.
Now, before we start today, I'd just like to preface by saying, no, we are two little sicklings. We've been walking around the halls of this school, like just coughing, wheezing.
Our sickly school.
Yeah, being stopped up. And so, if the energy, we're going to make the energy be here today, but if you see us sniffling...
We're going to force it to be there.
Yeah,
Get in there.
Because this is what we do as area officers. And anyways, so if you see us having a little cough, a little sneeze, a little sniffle, we're very sorry. But anyways, our order of business today is one of our most exciting events. So we're actually visiting Winnfield Middle School soon for a chapter visit. A little bit about that is, of course, we're from Winnfield, best town, and our Winnfield Middle School has never had an FFA chapter before, so we really want to see them expand and begin to work with us. So do you want to kind of start and go with that?
Yeah, so I actually didn't even know. I knew they were doing like FFA stuff,
Yeah.
and I knew Miss Bethany was like the advisor. I didn't know that they were like an official chapter, which is really exciting because I think this is this is one of the first middle school chapters this is the first middle school chapter here. I know we had a middle school chapter in Atlanta, and I know that they have one in Calvin.
Yeah.
I know, like, in Atlanta, I was technically in the chapter, and I paid my dues and everything, but the ag teacher, like, didn't write my name down or something.
Yeah.
And so they, like, called FFA people out of class one time, and everyone got called except for me.
JJ is still scarred from this, so this is why it's really great that all of our Winnfield kiddos are getting to experience FFA. Kind of going off of that, I think like the biggest thing for me is like I just know like if I was in middle school, because of course when I was there we didn't have things like FFA. It was purely other organizations like science or 4-H, which are absolutely amazing. But when I stepped into high school, one of the main reasons pulling me into FFA was just because I knew it was a community thing and I knew our school was big in it. But if I'm being honest, I really wish I would have had that foundation in middle school because it would have prepared me for competing in CDEs and LDEs and maybe even venturing into the Creed speaking territory, which is what Miss JJ owns over here. But really, I just hope that it's a brand new start for these students because they'll really get to see that it's not just farms and pigs and cows. Like, it is so much bigger than that. And truly, that's why I'm grateful to be a part of the organization and continue to do things like that, just because having it start in middle school would have made an even more infinite impact on me. So.
And just adding on a little bit more in that, I'm really glad that they're going into depth in things because my brother's in that chapter. And they're really learning about all the aspects of FFA, which I think is really cool because I know even when I was technically not in FFA in middle school, even though I was a part of the organization, I still didn't know everything that there was to do until I got into high school. And so I think them really going through and learning all these things is not only going to expand their knowledge, but it's also going to expand their interest because they can see at a young age how many opportunities we have, anything from prepared speaking to landscaping and nursery. And so I think that's going to be really kind of eye-opening for them and really beneficial to us because a lot of people when they come into high school, we are having to build them from the ground up.
Yeah.
But if they're coming from the middle school with already experience, already kind of like what they want to do in mind, maybe even competing at a middle school level, then they already have experience and we can only further develop them to an even more advanced level than before.
Absolutely. And like this may be a little selfish of me, but like if they're doing it in middle school, then we get to recruit all kinds of members who want to stick through with it. And like Mr. Riley, our amazing advisor who does literally anything and everything, I just really think it'd be so helpful for him to already have kids who have a foundation of what they want to do because it can be challenging to build freshmen from the ground up while maintaining all your other teams and trying to get older students involved. And so I think really that's a big win for us. And of course it is a big win for the middle school themselves because they are such an amazing school and they're already so involved in all the other things that they do. And so like to me, I'm very excited to see them grow in that way. And so you also talked about like prepared speaking and Creed and how that kind of develops that. Like I absolutely agree because like with that, again, I probably said they need this foundation a million times, but it's true. Like if you want to come into high school and freshman year is scary. Like you don't know what you want to do. You don't know what clubs, what friends, like you don't know any of it. But if you have something that's a constant, like FFA in middle school, then it carries over, and you're
Right.
stuck with, of course, Miss Bethany. We love her, queen. And you get to work with her and see all the things she's doing, and then it carries over to Mr. Riley. And so I just really think it's like a full force act, full circle moment for everyone. So everyone is winning if they're starting in middle school. So
I think it's really funny because Miss Bethany or Miss Riley, I guess, and Mr. Riley, they're married,
Yes.
and so
it's good,
kind of
y'all.
funny. But
They're so goals.
on the recruiting aspect, because I know me and Alyssa spent like an entire class period just the other day talking about who we wanted to kind of introduce the idea of LDEs to. And so I think it would help a lot because we were kind of thinking, we were like, well, this person has the qualities of someone who'd be a really good prepared speaker, but they've never done it before and they've never even done anything similar. So we really have no idea. And so it's kind of like a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And sometimes you miss. And so I think with them coming from middle school, it will take a lot more accurate shots, and kids will already have experience with that stuff, just kind of adding on to all that.
Absolutely. And like another thing I always think of is like we always have kind of the same crowd doing things. I know especially within our grade, like we love doing LDEs, but there's like 3 or 4 of us.
Yes.
And of course it gets a little bit bigger towards CDE because giving a speech or doing employment skills, competing in PLO, like that can be intimidating, especially for these younger students. But again, like if they start with that, then they'll want to stick through, and then we'll have more people to compete, more people to bring banners to this act shop that is full of banners, which I hope you can see in this lens, but if not. And so we just, a big thing is just, I know, bringing that back in because like I want to go and teach more kids about PLAW. Like I want to get them on that employment skills.
I love prepared speaking.
Oh yes, y'all. Let me tell you, I just have to brag on JJ. Before on this board over here, I know y'all can't see it. She like was writing like master's notes, like just everything about her speech that she needed to know. Like it was like she was solving a murder mystery over there. But like I'm telling y'all, she used every bit of it, and like that's just how the prepared speaking is, and she puts all that into work. So
and
middle schoolers, get on to that.
I would love to instill that into someone else.
Yes, absolutely.
I had a thought and I lost it.
You know, JJ Jr. is coming up. Your little brother. He could be the next.
Ooh, I don't know if he's JJ Jr.
I
don't think he takes things as seriously as I do. Let me tell you.
Oh, God.
When I was in creed speaking my freshman year, I was memorizing the creed, and so I would say it in front of my family.
Yes, of course.
And he would just sit there and he would make faces at me because I get off topic and I can laugh like so easily. I laugh for nothing.
It's your family.
Yes, and I'm like, we
story.
live with each other, and so I laugh so easily. Like in science class, me and my best friend will be sitting next to each other, and one of the teacher calls on me to read, and I know Natalie's sitting over here like she's already giggling in her mind, and so I start giggling out loud, and that makes her start giggling out loud, and it's just because we know each other so well, and so my brother knows that, and so he purposefully gets me off track because he thinks it's funny. But guess what? When he gets into FFA,
he's done for.
He's already into FFA. They're already learning the creed.
Literally.
When he tries to say it in front of my family, faces will be made, laughter will be shared.
I
will make it so impossible for him to practice. You would think now, because I'm going to nationals, I'm going to be on a big stage in front of people, that my family would take it seriously.
Never.
They don't.
Never.
Let me tell you how many good practices I've had with my family. Zero. My dad is in on it now. The way my living room is set up, I always stand where the TV is, and my mom sits on the couch right here. My 2 brothers and my sister sit on the couch right here, and then my dad sits right here in his little recliner. They're all this right here and this. They're all making faces at me as I'm saying my speech. I have to turn my body away from them, so that I can actually say my speech without busting out in laughter.
No, I understand.
And they simply cannot take it seriously. And I get, sometimes it's funny, but sometimes it's frustrating. I cannot wait until my brother starts to give his speeches.
And you just
I will get him back.
Yes, I understand. And like for me, this is kind of similar. Like I did employment skill because like I've just interviewed and done all that stuff, and so like my mom is the biggest help, and like she goes and interviews people, all this, but it's like because she's my mom, I go to practice an interview, and this is when I'm like first getting ready for it. Like I have to be like in an interview zone, like I have to be locked in, like knowing what I'm gonna say, and so like the first few times I like practice with her, she just looks at me, she's like, because I'm just like saying random things off the top of my head and it doesn't flow, and then I have to like stop and then I laugh at myself for a second. I'm like, okay, this is the worst thing ever. And so then like I like go to my dad and I'm like, hey, can you help me? He's like, no, like your mom can do that. I'm like, thanks. And one time, yes, and one time I remember like doing it for him or something, and he was just sitting there like, good job. Like it's not fully, because like my mom would be like, hey, fix this, like do this, and my dad would just be like, go get him, girl, you go get him. So shout out to them. But like really, I mean, just kind of to close this out, like JJ Jr. on the rise. JJ Jr. Mm-hmm. I really think the biggest thing is like, I guess from this, like I can both kind of tell that we're very thankful for, you know, being able to practice and being able to compete in LDEs and CEs, because like you would have asked me freshman year, like I'd be a completely different person. And like now I want to go up and talk to people, and I kind of went over this, we both did in our last video, but like that's really why FFA is such a foundational and growing and teaching organization, because like especially for our small community of Winnfield, it's intimidating to not know what you want to do, and being so confined to the limits of Winnfield. But like because of FFA, like I feel like I have so many opportunities that have made me a better person, and I just really want to see that in these middle schoolers, because like middle school is a wild time. I'm gonna tell y'all, like that was crazy, and like you don't really know what's going on because you're like 10 different people all at once. But I think with things like FFA and having that vocational help and kind of learning more about your strengths and what you want to do in the future, I just really think that, of course, brings in more members for us, but is helping these students grow and, I don't know, making them want to achieve. So.
I agree. I'm just excited to see all these people coming up, and because I think we love it so much, we're excited to get to share that with them. And so I think that's why we're just so pumped. I didn't know they were even a chapter.
I know,
until like 5 minutes ago. Mr. Riley was like, oh yeah, that visit, it's a chapter visit. We were like,
thanks.
Great, we didn't know.
Good to know.
But I think we're just so excited to kind of like see like this new group of young kids in FFA.
Absolutely. Okay, well I think that's all we have today. So we will see you all on the next episode of Real Estate with your area officers.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.